It's going to help him on what you want to know about leasing, how it works for you, just in general. So come tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thanks for having me.
We just let Jason know that we're kind of all set. So Jason will, I'm sure, introduce the team. Obviously, one last time for all of you, after Jason comes in, we just talked about Caravan. Please, please, please get out there and go support your fellow agents and go look at the property for your clients, for your potential buyers, for your knowledge of the market, and for them. Because if you don't go to these, it's going to go away. And then, how are we going to sell listings in-house? All right, other than that, Jason, we're good?
I think we're good. So,
Great.
I think you all know by now, this was yesterday, right? So, let me go grab it.
The donuts in here, they'll fall.
Please welcome the state champion, high school Beverly. So by the way, guys, before we get started, this is being streamed live. And you are being taped, you're being videoed, so please be careful what you say. Anyway, welcome everybody, and thank you for the warm welcome for the players. Before I get going, I want to say one thing before I forget. Betsy Woods, she's here, right? I got to tell you a little story. I was at the final game at the Garden. And I see Betsy, one of our agents there, start talking to Betsy, having a good conversation. I see this guy next to Betsy. She introduces him as Jack Woods, Betsy's husband. So I start talking to him. He says, I don't know how it all came up. He goes, oh yeah, I played for Mattignon back in 19. What year was that?
77 or 76 or 77.
Somewhere around 76, 77, which was the last year Beverly High School hockey team went to the state finals. Jack Woods was on the opposing team, and they beat Beverly actually 11-1. So that wasn't a pleasant conversation. He actually plays with a lot of the guys, Timmy Kimball, and I think Jay Rice plays with those guys. He's playing with a lot of
Brad
guys.
Hughes, yeah.
And also Betsy's daughter, you guys all know Nicole Woods, very good women's hockey player at Beverly High School. If you haven't yet voted, I know she's giving a lot of reminders to vote for
The good scholarship.
yeah. All right, so let's first of all, before I introduce everybody, I can tell you another story. I'm one of these guys, right? I'm 30 plus years out of high school, but I'm one of these guys that still living the dream. You still think you have something, you still think you can skate. But I'm still out there skating, I'm doing the best I can, everything's great, I think I'm a pretty good player, but remember, I'm playing against guys that are 30 plus years out of high school. I still play with Matt Hamer's father on Wednesdays. Matt's one of the captains who's going to be here for so I skate on Sunday mornings. Great skate early in the morning, get up, have a good skate, start your day. Everything was great until this last Sunday, all of a sudden, I see Connor Irving and Jack Morenzi on the end. I'm like, no. You guys can't come on the ice with me. They really woke me up. I'm not really as good as I think I was. So I take these guys around for an hour. Anyway, so I know firsthand how good these guys are, at least two of them. So anyway, I'm going to give a quick introduction. So then we're going to talk to them individually. So this is the coach, Bob Gilligan. We have Sean Munsing, who's one of the captains. Be careful. Jack Morenzi. We have Connor Irving. And Tim Borelli. All right, so we're going to talk to each one individually, okay, because there's a lot of stories here, there's a lot of history. Those of you who've been following W High School hockey at all are going to know a lot of these stories. And I think it's important to kind of focus on each player individually, tell their story, and then we'll talk to them as a group. The other thing I wanted to say, that kind of ties in, we have on our wall back there our belief system. So Keller Williams Realty, we call this the Y4C2Ts. And I think some of the stories that we're going to talk about today tie into some of the things that we believe in. That's one of the reasons why I want to have you guys in here. Because even though you may not think it, you guys are a lot younger than us. You guys are leaders to a lot of people, including us. Okay, we're a bunch of real estate agents. We don't get paid until we sell a house, so we don't get paid until we succeed. Okay, so we want to learn from you guys as to how you got to the level you did. So we have things like integrity, do the right thing, together everyone achieves more, teamwork, success, results for others, and things like that. So I think we're going to hear some of that stuff as we talk to them individually. So let's start with the coach, Bob Gilligan. So Bob, this is a little bit about Bob, 11th season. I think it's your 11th or 12th?
Yeah.
We could. 11th to 12th season, twice Salem News Coach of the Year, Boston Globe Coach of the Year, Beverly High School Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, along with his two brothers, anybody know the Gilligan name? It's a very rooted Beverly name. And Bob Gilligan's in the High School Hall of Fame. His brother Michael's in the Beverly High Hockey Hall of Fame. And his brother Billy's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So, Bob, what were some of the expectations going through the season?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank Jason for inviting us and the team. If I could just quickly go over it. I knew the group of kids and, you know, what the ability was. But before we even get into that, it's more so that when I took this thing, they asked me 11 to 12 years ago to come in and help out the hockey team. It was a coaching change. They called me overnight. I thought my daughter was sick at school. She was just in high school fighting a funny disease, and I was worried. The principal called me and asked me if I could take the team over Monday morning. And it was Friday, and I was working at the airlines and working 2 jobs, working pretty hard. And Elizabeth, who works here, had known me, and we go way back. And I had to talk to the station manager to change my job if I could do it. And I said, whatever you need. And before I know it, the 5 or 6 games of the year, I was asked to take the team over. We had a direct impact on this thing, and once I get into this thing, I related pretty well with the boys, and we had a pretty successful year. But once I get into coaching, I always, one of 10 growing up in Beverly, my sister Jean had actually helped Jason and his sister when they were little people. She used to come over the house and babysit all the time, so there's a close relationship here. But when I started to take over the team, what bothered me more, winning and how the kids behave. Winning was one thing, but it was more so how the kids behave. And what I really promoted, and I think I was more proud of, is that the hockey took over about doing community service. And the first thing I saw when I used to go by the high school all this time, the high school wasn't built, the Cumming Center was probably just getting underway being built. My thing was, the kids are going to do something beneficial to the community. It isn't all about winning. It's about forming the right kids that are probably going to be citizens down throughout their lives. And when I took this thing over, we were going to tackle a high school for a community project. Well, the funny quote that I got from a close parent here, the way we went for 2 days straight up at the old high school, the grass was a foot high, it was before graduation, and I'm saying this is ridiculous, that we're not taking, that the city has let their school, that these kids are graduating in another week, and the grass is a foot high, and it bugged me. And I went into the principal, and I said, something's got to happen. And they said, do whatever you got to do. Well, we went in for 2 days, and one of the parents made the joke to me that after a day or so, you're going to lose all these kids who are going to sign up for basketball. We went so hard. And that group, believe it or not, turned that high school around as far as the appearance. It needed a definite thing that they did today to change the whole school into a new high school, which is tremendous. And you take pride in it. But more so that the kids related to this. And these kids, they're growing up, have respect for the school, for the city, for the people you're working with, and it isn't all about winning. It's about camaraderie and playing together and helping one another out. Well, this caught on, and believe me, once this started, every other team, this canning thing started to stop, which I was against, people canning like they're begging to go out and do something. Well, today, I'm so proud to see that you've got the girls, you've got the boys are all out doing something beneficial, and it's huge. And to get back to, Jason, I apologize, I just want to give a brief introduction to that. I think this is carried on, and right now I'm just proud of what's going on with all the teams. And it's real important that these people, 90% of them are going to come back and live here. They respect where they're going and everything else. The sports will take care of itself. But just to give a quick thing, Jason.
Awesome.
But anyway,
That's
go
great.
back to the question.
I want to ask you specifically, and you can talk to the extent that you want, because you've been battling lymphoma. That started, I believe, when these guys were freshmen.
Yeah.
So these guys were all freshmen. Can you, because I
Yeah.
think this ties into the team a lot about overcoming adversity and how
Yeah.
you dealt with it, what you talked to the team about,
Yeah,
how that
and
all evolved.
That's something 4 years ago. I was in very good shape, working hard, exercising real hard in the morning. I thought I had hernias that my father had. To make a long story short, I went in for my yearly physical. He said, "You better get this checked out." The team started that Monday. We had tryouts. It was in the back of my mind. They cut a piece out into my arm. It was lymphoma. Before I know it, I into Mass General. We were playing that night in Somerville. The doctors came up to me and said, "We got to treat you now." And I'm trying to digest this all. I'm thinking, first I'm upset, I'm mad, not upset, I'm mad. I'm saying, how the heck did this happen to me? And I've never abused myself or anything like this. Well, it is what it is. And they hit me with the treatment. The boys were playing, we were playing in Somerville, and my wife was with me, going through all of this and trying to digest everything. And I got my first treatment, went to the game, coached the game, and it went from there. So I went through the first year, getting hit pretty hard, and it all cleared up. Lost my hair, the whole 9 yards, and about the third game into that treatment, I let the boys know we're up in Methuen. They were stunned. They were shocked. They've never been exposed to a cancer. I said, the coach is going to be fine. You guys just focus. And I remember the looks on their face in the locker room. They're all like this, as 15-year-old kids, stunned. And I said, don't you be worried. I'm going to get through this, which I did. And you just concentrate on what you've got to do, and we're all going to be in this together. Well, the support I got from the immediate family to the team was tremendous in the community. And believe me, it got me through this whole thing. I went a year doing very well, very strong, never missing a day's work of the practice of this one game. They admitted me in the hospital that I did miss that year, that I couldn't get out of the hospital, but I was back doing the regular thing. Well, unfortunately, it came back a year later. It got in the back of my head, and this is why I'm scarred on the right side of my face and other issues, but they're fine. And I was falling down and sickness, even riding the bus home and with the boys, I was dizzy. It got back in my central nervous system. I had 3 brain scans. In between that, I couldn't swallow, I couldn't sleep at night, and the best doctors at Mass General couldn't pick it up. And finally I had a seizure, hit the deck at my house. The wife, first time I rode in an ambulance to Beverly Hospital, they had me there overnight, and then my face blew up right into Mass General. The spinal tap, it's pretty serious. So it went from there to heavy treatment. They hit me as hard as they could. I wasn't doing well. There was a period in time they thought for sure that I wasn't going to get out. And the boys had a fundraiser for me in town, which I think a lot of you might have been there. It was huge. They're getting me ready for a stem cell transplant, and they had to eliminate all the cancer in my body, which meant that they drilled me with everything. Radiation, they hit me with as much chemo as they could, and I told them to do that. If it doesn't work that way, I'm leaving the hospital and going home. I fought it. There were other people on that floor, some people from Beverly that didn't get out. It was huge, the impact that these kids had on me, the family, and the people in the surrounding community. I couldn't have asked for anything better. The doctors were stunned. I got through it. I kept working hard. I did things that I've learned as a young kid like they did to get me through it. And this is so important in life when there's tragedies, and we'll talk about that and hear the people that are close to me down the street, they're fighting the same damn thing. And it's things you've got to stay mentally tough. And hopefully there's going to be a break. There's that little opportunity, and you're going to see it, and you're going to go with it. And this is what I did every day. It worked. I got the stem cell. I got back on the ice. It was supposed to be 5 weeks to 5 months. I got back in about 2 days, and I'm back with the kids. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell the doctors. I told the kids to keep their mouth shut. We're going to be fine with this. They understood some of what I was saying. I couldn't skate for the first week or two. Finally, I got back into it. And I was on the bench trying to direct things, and thank God I had Justin and Ryan Shears and Mike and Jay to help this thing go. The boys responded. They had a tremendous year last year. We went out early, and I knew this year was a year that we had a lot of these kids back. If they stay focused, keep their mindset on what they've got to do, take care of themselves, and hang together. It's so important. And much in the business community, you stay focused on what you do, you show up to work and behave yourself, you're going to have to make things happen. And I told these kids as we get closer and closer, it's going to be more of a target on your back. And they certainly kept together as a team, and you can see what they've done. And back to me, I'm fine. I got a clean bill of health. I still got to go in every couple of months now, and I'm doing fine. I mean, there's issues that's still there, but when you look at the overall picture, I'm very fortunate and very lucky. Yeah.
Great. All right, thank you very much. We'll get back to some food questions as I mentioned. So Sean Munsing, 4-year defenseman, captain. Is this your 1-year captain, 2-year?
1-year captain.
1-year captain. Strong sports tradition in Danvers. Jen Sullivan's from Danvers. Tyler's here. Tyler's a Danvers guy. I don't know. Anyway, Danvers and Beverly's been a huge rivalry, and actually Danvers beat. Was it the finals? No, not the finals. The year before this was semifinals. Danvers knocked off Beverly. You guys were undefeated that way, right?
We had 1 loss.
Yeah, okay, 1 loss. So Sean's got a strong tradition in Danvers. His cousin's the head coach at Danvers High School.
Yeah.
The hockey coach, right? His uncle is the assistant coach at Beverly. And Danvers, as I mentioned, is our child at Beverly. So having this Danvers connection, Sean, talk to us a little bit about, has that helped you? How has that affected you? Or
Oh yeah.
do the guys and the players give you any,
Tell you one thing, there's a huge family rivalry over there. Half the time when we're playing each other, games coming up 3 weeks before, my aunt calls me and said, yeah, there's no contact between us and the game's over. we're not allowed to talk to them at all, associate ourselves with them at all. And we always go over there dressed in orange and stuff like that. Feathers and everything. She doesn't really like that too much. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge drive for me, of course. I always want to beat him. And after that first loss last year against him, first round, of course I didn't have the end of it. So finally we got him back this year, which was good.
Yeah, no, this year too. Well, actually, the year before, what was the score of that game?
I think it was
4-3.
Yeah.
And this year it was 2-1. Actually, did you get who got the winning goal?
Oh, it was a shootout.
It was a shootout.
Well, Connor could have put it away with the last
Connor. So, and you guys, I mean, the other thing is every year, well, I know the 2 out of the last 2 years, you guys were supposed to be beating them really with no problem.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Anything else you want to talk about regarding the?
I mean, throughout the season, I had to go through some family things as well. Early on in the season, my dad had to have a quadruple bypass. We were, there's a story. I'm glad this happened, actually. As mean as this might sound. So we were ice fishing, and we came home, and there was a storm coming. So my dad decided to go on the roof and shovel all the snow off so we didn't get too much snow. And then after he was doing that, he was feeling dizzy and everything like that, so he just had to come off. And then he fell off the roof and onto the ground. So he didn't want to go to the hospital right away. So course, right? Stuff. And then the next day, my mom made him go to the hospital, and he told the doctors he was having trouble breathing and everything like that. So they went in and they did the, I forgot what it's called, but they put the dye in to see all that, and they figured it out, and he ended up having surgery in the next couple weeks. So that was tough to go through everything with that.
So, but as you mentioned, it kind of, even though it's not a great thing, it kind of motivated you to get more drive.
Yeah.
I think that.
Exactly, yeah,
Excellent.
definitely.
Thank you, Sean. We'll get back to it. So we had Matt coming, but he's not here. So Matt Hamer was going to be one of our other guests. Let's go to Jack. Is Yael here? There she is. So this is Jack's aunt, married to your father's brother, Andrew Morenz. So there's a connection there. Anyway, Jack's a 4-year defenseman, captain. Actually, was the captain of the Super Bowl. The Beverly High, was that last year? 2013?
Yeah, last year, and I was captain this year.
Captain this year, the football team. He was on the team last year when they won the Super Bowl. Grandfather's was a Beverly High School hockey captain. His grandmother, Emily Morency, father, John Morency, his uncle Pat, I believe, right? And I don't know which cousins, but they're all in the Beverly High School Hall of Fame. Which cousins are in the Hall of Fame? Do you know which one?
I couldn't name them.
All right. There's too many different last names. You lose track. So, all this history behind you, how does that affect you and shape you as to where where you've been and where you're going and all that stuff?
Well, definitely just being a part of the whole kind of family tradition through my grandfather playing hockey, baseball, football. It was just, I wouldn't say pressure, more or less. It was kind of wanting to like earn my spot into that tradition as well, and being luckily being a part of such great teams over the past two or 3 years on football and hockey. It's just, I've just really been lucky and to really pull out with the win this year. It's been, and just getting tons of support from all over, from grandparents, great grandparents, uncles, aunts, like everyone. It's been awesome. It's been a very special time, and it's now I kind of have, because I'm pretty sure no one in the family's won either a Super Bowl or a state championship for hockey, so I think I kind of have that edge over them. So it was definitely very special to win it, and it's been a great ride so far.
That's a very good point that Jack mentioned. I don't know if I said it. In this unbelievable history with Beverly High School hockey, tremendous players. The only hockey team at Beverly High School to win the state champion. So it's never happened before. So, Jack, that's a very good point. You can trump everybody else all day. So that's great. So did you feel, so you felt good pressure, they really good leadership, and your father wasn't yelling at you every night to do better and to...
No, I think the only time he kind of got a little bit mad was to stay out of the box, but...
Oh, you got too many penalties, right?
But besides that, it was all good pressure, good encouragement from everyone, so it felt good finally getting it off the shoulders and winning it all.
Awesome. That reminds me, too, Jack is known for his unbelievable hip check, right?
Yeah,
Putting people over his back. So that's good. One other thing about Jack, some of you may have seen some articles in the paper, but my understanding is that you visit a 5th grader, and you've been known to come back with your nails painted a different color. Can you kind of elaborate on what's going on with that?
well, for a lot of people who live in Beverly, probably know the name of Riley Rockster. There's this little girl who's 6 years old, actually just turned 7 last Wednesday. Riley Pheasant got diagnosed back in May with a malignant tumor in her nasal cavity. It's very, very rare form. It's called esthesioneuroblastoma. And there's been roughly 1,000 cases since 1924, I would say. And through the history with that disease, it hasn't been good. And there's only been a handful of children under the age of 14 who's actually got it. And again, they didn't end up too well. But ever since there's a program at the high school called, it was marketing, but there's a system called DECA, where it's a marketing competition. You go through districts, then states, and luckily we actually made it to nationals, where we go down to Atlanta May 2nd through the 9th, I believe. And so we had to find a topic, me, my friend Joey Kozlowski, and my other friend Kendall Davey. We had to find a topic in the community service area. So we went through a couple different things, and we ended up meeting Riley through Kendall and her cheering team. And she was cheering and going to school as much as she can, but then she ended up getting diagnosed in May. So ever since we met her, we kind of all pulled together, not just us, but throughout the past couple months through the year. It's pulled the whole city together, really, and the surrounding cities around us. And we've raised roughly, I want to say $17,000 for her as well. That's just for our project alone. But there's been numerous donations from like everyone around us that's donated their time, their help, and a lot of donations money-wise to help her. And she actually wasn't supposed to make it past Christmas, but she's still up there running around, acting like nothing's going on. And she's been a huge inspiration to me and the city of Beverly. And I think that's one thing that kind of kept in the back of my mind throughout the run through the playoffs and the regular season was if she can go through that, then any of us can go through a tough game, tough loss, bumps and bruises. And I think that really kind of hit home with me, kind of kept me driving, as well as her little brother, Drew, absolutely loves us. We're all-stars. We're in Hollywood with him. So going over the house, numerous autographs that he took from me and then lost. So it's just, he actually came in the locker room before the Danvers game in the playoffs, kind of gave us a good luck wish, and it worked. It's the whole family just getting to know him. It's been unbelievable. It's really hit home. Me and probably a lot of us.
Awesome, that's a great story. One last thing too, just if you want to talk about the Rock for Riley. Is that an event coming up, or is that part of it?
We actually, one activity that we put together was called the Riley Rock Garden, where one night, actually back, I would say December, we had a bunch of people that wanted to come, and we took a bunch of rocks and cleaned them off, and people came and painted them. A lot of little kids, but a lot of adults as well, came and painted and wrote inspirational messages. So at the end, we had like 500 rocks, and we didn't have a place to put them. So this upcoming Sunday, we actually have the Riley Rock Garden down in Lynch Park, over near the Rose Garden. We have a big rock that we got, and Leahy Landscaping and Swamps Garden we have a connection with, and he actually came in, put the rock in with flowers around it, and taking all the rocks and will be displayed around the big rock. It's these ribbon cuttings, and we actually got the rock engraved with Riley rocks. It's going to have a little seat for Riley in the rock. So that was probably one of our biggest, not money-wise, but the biggest kind of like inspiration activities that we put together.
What time on Sunday?
Awesome.
I want to say noon, but I can figure that out.
Yeah, what was the date?
I want to say this Sunday.
Sunday?
Sunday's Easter.
So it might be next Sunday. Yeah, it might be that.
Great job, Jack. Thank you. So now we move to Connor Irving. Connor's a 2-year captain. Played for Beverly High School for 4 years. Connor set the all-time scoring record. You just actually Billy Gilligan had the record. So Bobby's brother had the record at one point. Billy LeBlanc, I believe, broke Billy Gilligan's record. Was it Billy? Roger LeBlanc. Billy, I think, is his father, right? Bobby was Billy.
His son.
Okay, so Roger LeBlanc broke the record. So Connor just broke Roger's record. What are your career stats? How many goals and how many assists? This is one of the reasons why I'm asking him, because I know he doesn't want to talk about, but I'm going to I'm going to tie it in a little bit. So how many goals, do you remember how many goals and how many assists?
I think I have 76 goals, and I don't know how many assists, honestly.
Does anybody know
A lot of assists.
how many assists it is?
100.
I'll call your father, Connor, your father.
I don't think anyone knows.
His father might know, but anyway, my point is, the number of assists, is it around? I mean, it's got to be at least 100 or so.
Yeah.
He has many more assists than he has goals. So this guy is an unbelievable team player. I actually saw it on Sunday when he played. How many times he passed the puck. He's a very, very unselfish player. So through his unselfishness and team player, he broke the record with mostly doing the assists, even though he had a lot of goals too. So he's had a great career. He actually got the winning goal in the final game. Anybody at the game at the Garden? We have some people. There's a lot of Beverly people there. You know that. His father was a Beverly High School hockey player, and actually his father, Ken Irving, was my coach when I went to high school. His uncle, Stu Irving, played with you, right? Coach Gilligan.
You were ahead, he was ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Galen, brother Mike. But now, Mike, excuse me, he didn't play. He was in between both.
In between, okay. So Stu Irving, again, Connor's uncle, Beverly High School Hall of Fame. He's actually has a silver medal from the Olympics. So this team won a silver medal from the Olympics. Anyway, a lot of stuff there. So Connor, I'm jealous. I mean, all this stuff going on. What does it all mean to you? I mean, what do you think about this stuff?
Yeah, definitely, it's a great accomplishment being all-time whatever leading scorer, but that's really nothing. It was like a whole lot of nothing because every year freshman year we made it really far, and we had a really good team, and then we got knocked out. And then sophomore year, you get all these points, and 58 points my sophomore year, and you break these records, and it really doesn't mean anything. You get knocked out. And then you win, and then you get knocked out the next year. But what really means something is winning the state championship and forming a bond with all these guys, and getting to know and getting to see all the community come together, and seeing all that 3/4 of the crowd at the Garden was Beverly people was unbelievable, and just seeing like everyone who wore a Beverly shirt, and it seemed like everyone who wore one was there pretty much. It was an awesome feeling, and to get it done in that fashion, and we didn't play our best game that game, but we got it done, and it was a really good year.
Awesome. So, and you've got a lot of leaders around you, and actually I didn't mention either. Coach Gilligan is your godfather?
Yeah. They ran out of people. And
They
I was
ran-
allowed.
They had to do somebody, right? So you also have a lot of leaders around you, Coach, your family, your uncle, and your dad. And I mean, how's that helped you, or
Yeah.
what's that like?
My dad, believe it or not, is a big inspiration on me. He's coached me, but will not coach me. He's obviously been there the whole time, and he's taught me everything I know. He's helped me through everything. After every game when I was growing up, I'd ask him what did I do wrong and what did I do right, and I tried to learn from him. And obviously, my uncle, I played with Andrew, my cousin. So my uncle was at a lot of my high school games, and he'd be coaching me through a lot. And listening to a silver medalist, he obviously knows he's coached 21 years at Merrimack, and he was a really good coach and inspiration to me. So it's good to have those guys behind you, and yeah, obviously they've been a good inspiration to me.
Well, I was going to say too. I was thinking while he was talking, it's pretty hard. Imagine Connor didn't want to play hockey. What do you think would have happened? Did they put you on the ice when you were really young, or did they?
I actually quit when I was younger. Didn't really like it. I couldn't on the crates. I couldn't push off. So I told my dad I wanted to quit. But he always told me growing up. He said, if you don't want to play hockey, it's up to you. Whatever you're happy with, it's up to you. You don't need to play hockey. And that was good because knowing that like I never really got pushed really that hard, but I wanted to be a good hockey player, and I wanted to be the captain of the high school team growing up, watching my brother and watching Brendan Fullerton and all those guys. I modeled those guys that are growing up, and I could have. A couple of us guys could have gone right to prep school, but we it was putting on that Beverly sweater. It was like the best feeling ever, watching those guys growing up. So it was great to be a part of, definitely.
Awesome. Great job. All right, so last but not least, we have Tim Borelli, the goalie. Tim doesn't have any Hall of Fame as far as I know. Tim's family, I don't know how many generations, but these guys were all lobstermen. Hard-working lobstermen. Now, hockey goalies are a little bit, I don't know how to say this, but a little strange, so give me a little pep. I'm just kidding around. Anyway, Tim is actually, everybody else here is a senior. Timmy's actually a junior. So, he's a 3-year starter for the high school. Salem News and Northeast Conference All-Star. He set the school record for single-season wins at 20 and career wins at 46. His goal against average is 1.26, which is crazy. Which I believe equates to 92.9% of the shots you actually saved, right?
Right.
92.9% of the shots didn't go in. 5 shutouts. 25 saves in the final game. He was awesome in the final game. Allowed 1 goal or fewer in 15 of 22 starts, including all 4 playoff games. So you want to brag about yourself? So how do you do that? And you don't have any, these guys get all the support, and they got the Hall of Famers and all this stuff, and you're all pulling traps out of the ocean. I mean, how did you get into playing hockey?
As a kid, your parents take you to learn to skate, and just fell in love with it the minute I got on the ice. So, and then I didn't pick up goalie till I was about 9 or 10. So that's when I started playing goalie full time. I got put in the net one practice, and that's when I started. I knew that this was my position, and just grew off of that.
So when you were young, so before you were, you said 10 or 9?
Yeah, but
So before that, you weren't sure if you're going to be a goalie?
no, I played defense, and I wasn't very good, so I tried the net, and that was my calling, and just carried on that.
I was going to ask you guys, was he any good outside of the net?
He's got decent hands actually, but he can't skate very well.
He wasn't
move,
bad
good, well
at 10.
done.
I saw him at 10. He was okay.
So Betsy saw you at 10, yeah, all right. So anyway, and again, Tim, you can talk to us about, to the extent that you want, I just want to kind of talk to him a little bit before the meeting about his dad is battling liver cancer. How long has that been going on?
Last July, I received the worst phone call of my life.
So that was, okay, before the season started.
Yeah.
So what I want you to talk about is, what goes through your mind, especially as a goaltender. That's like, talk about focus and not having any distractions. What was your reaction to your teammates? What were you thinking, and how is this all affecting you as you get into the season and throughout the summer and everything?
Well, in the summer it was like it was the scariest thing ever. But I learned to deal with it throughout the summer, and then when hockey season came, I was kind of like almost immune to it, and I knew how to deal with it. And then I had great support from the community and my teammates, so I didn't really have a problem focusing, because I knew that if he could make the effort to come to my games, I could make the effort to play my best. So that's basically how it went, and he's doing a little bit better now.
Good.
For the most part, it was just really scary at first.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to think.
Did you think about at all, what you were going to do with hockey and everything, or how did that?
No, it was kind of like just take it one day at a time and deal with it like that. And
Yeah.
that was the best approach I took for it, and it's been working.
Awesome. Who's been an inspiration for you as far as coaching, and is there a specific goalie coach, or because you don't really hear about the goalie coaches and the goalies, as I mentioned, the different breeds. So I mean, the people that have helped you to really, or you just kind of self-starter and
Well, I started it myself a while ago when I first started playing goalie, but I have a goalie coach who's out of North Andover, so he gives me when he's able to make it to my games, he'll give me feedback on how I do and stuff. But for the most part, I just see him once a week, and he asks me what I think I need to work on, and that's how I've been better in my game.
awesome. Great job. All right, so before we have, it's about 11 o'clock, so we maybe 5-10 minutes or so. I just want to talk a little bit about some general questions. Anything you guys want to talk about beginning of the season, how it evolved, and challenges, or anything at all that we didn't really discuss that you feel like ties everything together between the beginning of the season to the end?
Yeah, just like Jason, I think to summarize, I think what's going on or happening with this team and throughout people that are in this room that work here. In the beginning of the year, or a year ago, we brought Peter Frates, which he had followed the boys quite a bit, and we brought him up to the health club. The boys are out working out, and Pete was moving around pretty good back then, and his father John got him up with Andrew. And it was such a great bonding that Pete has been following these kids, and there was quite a bonding to Peter. And I explained, they were younger, but the athleticism that Pete had going through St. John's Prep, playing 3 sports, going to BC, being a baseball captain, and that the boy at 26, 27, don't quote me, but got diagnosed with ALS. And I remember the day I was getting ready for my stem cell at Mass General, and Kathy was in there about every day, and she told me I couldn't believe it. I was sick. And I brought Peter down and to have the boys connect with this, and they certainly connected. And it couldn't have been a better bonding because the boys kept that in mind, and they knew I was a neighbor of Peter's, that I'd get a chance to see him every now and then. And I think the special thing is the day or two before I went down to see him with Lucy, my dog, and Lucy's all over him, and Pete's having some troubles, and John's telling me that he'll probably have to go in and maybe get a feeding tube, and he knew we were going to the garden. And Andrew, his son, gave me the jerseys, and I brought them to the rink that afternoon and gave them to the boys that if they could bring them to the game, we're going to wear them. And you probably couldn't have written a script any better between Peter, from Riley Pheasant, when the boys did a fundraising thing in the summertime, they come up and shot pucks, and it was one of the most popular things in the fundraiser at the high school. And we had, Timmy's father, there was quite a connection here. And the day, I always told these boys, we're showing up, you wear these shirts for everybody. And what you're going to do, you're going to remember this the rest of your life. So I don't think the script could have been written any better at the Garden. And I told them between the second and third period, there were a couple of kids sick, one with mono. We weren't playing well. This team was a good team. We weren't there. But you guys have got to stay with it and suck it up. And I don't care who's sick, who's hurting. And I come out of that shower to talk to these guys and drill them. Because we got 15 minutes. This is the 15 minutes of your life. And think about what's going on in this whole thing. And certainly with Peter in mind, with Timmy's dad in mind, Riley Pheasant in mind, and not knowing that they were actually there. We knew 1 or 2 were there. We didn't know Peter could make it in the situation, and it couldn't have been written any better when that game was won, that these boys picked them out up on the top. And believe me, I've been through a lot of stuff with treatment, and it's not about me, but I can tell you one thing without talking to these parents, that for 1 hour, 1 night, or hopefully the rest of their lives, that they forgot they were even sick and what these boys accomplished. They don't understand it now. It hasn't settled, but the older you get, you start to realize what that did, and that was so important. I told the people at the banquet, when they asked me to summarize the year and the season, yeah, I was proud as could be of this team winning. But the thing I remember most is seeing Pete in the stands, Riley Pheasant and Timmy's dad coming down with a Bruins jersey, unannounced, a sign. It meant more to me than anything in the world. So these guys don't realize how fortunate, and you want to work together and what you can do in helping out they certainly did it. So I want to thank this team.
They wore Pete Frady's, is Nancy here? No, she's not. They wore Pete Frady's t-shirts, and then after the game, went up to the glass and saluted Pete and all that stuff, so it was just amazing. So a very good point, Coach, about these guys don't realize the impact, and I said it before, you know, you're leaders to everybody in the community, including us, and, you know, it doesn't matter about age or anything like that. Anything you guys want to just summarize before we, maybe some questions from people, that what you've learned from all this? You know, talk about the police escort if you want. I know you had some pull with the 2 cops or 3. 3 cops that are their coaches, so you guys probably stayed out of trouble, right?
Your father said that he was going to get pulled over, Connor, right? Pulled right out the highway.
So they got a police escort coming when they came back, which was actually, what time did you guys get back?
Pretty late. Close to 11. Yeah, it looked like one flew over the cuckoo's nest with the bus going down the street with all the windows open.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the heck was going on.
So anyway, all that great stuff. Anything that you learned from all this you want to share, or?
Just that anything can happen at any moment in time. You just gotta pick it up and run with it, make the best you can. And luckily we learned a lot this season, and we've been through a lot as a team, and we got through it together and took everything how it was and came out on top.
Awesome. Great. Any questions, comments? Anything you guys want to ask these guys?
I would like to know their favorite NHL players. Like the goaltender, for instance. Who's your favorite goalie?
Probably Jonathan Quick from the LA Kings.
And we'll go right down the line.
Oh, my favorite player is Sidney Crosby. Pittsburgh Penguins.
Patrick Kane with the Chicago Blackhawks. I'll probably have to go with Torrey Krug on the Brewers.
You guys want to talk about anything about where you're going next year or what's going on?
Yeah, who's going where?
What's going on?
And then you're playing hockey.
Oh, I'll be attending Lewis Chafee in Connecticut. I'll be a repeat junior down there. And,
Prep school, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll also be attending a prep school. I'll be doing a post-grad year at Tilton, in Tilton, New Hampshire.
I'm actually going to the same place. I'm doing a post-grad year at Tilton, playing hockey.
And I'll be doing a post-grad year at Hebron, up in Maine.
So you guys are all prep school bound, huh? You guys all playing hockey?
Yes.
Well, if you don't realize too, to play college hockey now is like crazy. You have to, well, you don't have to, but
Most
very
kids
common.
are 21-year-old
Yeah.
freshmen.
yeah, because you have to go, you play juniors, then you go to prep school, juniors, maybe a couple of years before you even get into the college, right? If you really want to make it, you know, have a college hockey career.
Future.
Yeah, very, very competitive.
I think, Jay, you know, to summarize this, and I tell the kids this, that the future, and many of you have talented kids, let's see, with their daughter, that, you know, it's changed so much in any sport, but enjoy what you're doing now, and don't look past what you're doing now. And I tell the kids this, that there's only a handful, if that are going to go on with this sport, but make an impact and do it, show up, give an honest effort, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, down the road, it's just so competitive. It's changed so much each year. Every 5 years, it's getting tighter, girls, boys, or whatever. But enjoy the time now. And believe me, you don't have to go, like certain kids in here are out to go to other prep schools. They all hung together. And it was so important. These memories are going to last a lifetime. And the impact you make with your community. And in the business world, it's probably the same way. Show up to work with an honest day effort, working together. And it's just so important to enjoy. You've got to have fun. And as much as these guys get sick of me, they get tired when I really pull them apart, and I believe me, I do it, and they got to put up with it. We have some fun, but the important thing is look at the overall picture. And believe me, if there's a career down the road, that's fine. But stay and enjoy your community, give an honest effort, and that's all we can ask. And basically, this is what we did for these kids since I've had them since they were freshmen. And you can see they've got a close bonding. They've been through many issues. They've dealt with this thing. But when you work together and you keep your mindset and you behave, you can get a lot done. And certainly this is what happened with this crew, okay? And it's just that thing of enjoying it now. Don't try to put things maybe down the road. Enjoy the moment. And they certainly, I think this year, got a good taste of that.
Awesome. Before we, I do want to say, if you ever want to be real estate agents, see Jamie, our manager. We'd love to have you at Keller Williams. Don't forget us.
Well, if you don't want to be a real estate agent, you want to buy a house.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. You ever want to buy a house, make sure you remember all our Keller Williams agents. You're buying houses before you know it. And I just want to end with, on behalf of Keller Williams, we want to make a donation. And we are going to donate specifically to the Beverly family. So we have a check for you, for your family. And we wish you all the best next year and everything that's happening with your family. And thank you for coming in. We also have a parting gift for each one of the players. So, Sean, Tim, Matt is not here. Actually, you can take Matt's. You can use it or you just give it to Matt. Jack and Connor. Thank you guys very much for listening.
Jason, I want to thank you for Keller Williams, and thank you for everything you do in the community. It's important, and hopefully these guys are going to be citizens and, down the road. I'm sure they're all going to be. Thanks a million.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
If you guys are going on caravan, if you could go to Maryland's first and then the other one second, that would be great.